coach training can immensely benefit in pretty much every single aspect of it. I mean, Cindy knows that Shesh and I have been trying to work on this in terms of developing content. I started at a point in time several months ago, just by putting the IC of competencies on the ChatGPT at that point in time and said, look, can you give me a coaching conversation which sort of fulfills these various parameters of the PCC markers or coaching competency or whatever. With a few prompts, I mean, I had to take it 2 or 3 steps with a few prompts in terms of, can you refine this more? Can you move into this? Can you produce some, can you put in some metaphors into it for me and whatever it is? Believe you me, gave me a conversation which would have passed PCC. The way I'm an MCC assessor, I was a PCC assessor before, and I'm speaking from actual kind of quality of submissions that we get. I've probably done over 800, maybe close to 1,000 assessments over the last several years, and it would have certainly passed PCC.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to our webinar today on AI as an intelligent partner in coaching. And yeah, nice to have you all today in our webinar. Before we get into the webinar, I just have a couple of announcements related to the programs that we have on the anvil. I will just take 2 minutes to cover that. And during the course of this webinar, please do feel free to leave your questions and comments in the chat box. We would love to hear from you, and we would take up your questions during the webinar discussion. So first up, we have the Coaching Foundation program happening on 9th March with Dr. Komal Smriti, who will be the trainer for this course. In just a bit, I will also leave the links to these programs on the chat box. After that, we have a Coaching Foundation or the ICF Level 1 program happening on 16th March with Drevan Days. After that, we have an Advanced plus ACTC. So this is an opportunity for everybody to get a dual credentialing, which is an Advanced PCC certification as well as the ACTC or Advanced Certification and Team Coaching Certification. This is happening on 21st March, which will be led by Smita and Cindy. We also have an ACTC program happening on 22nd March, which will be led by Ujjwal Butch. Again, I will be pasting all of these links on the chat shortly. Lastly, we have a very special program which is being led by Ram for spiritual leadership program happening on the 25th of March. Now, this is a pay-as-you-like program, and you will find all the details on the chat box on the link that I'll just provide here. So after that, now I think I'll just let's just get into the discussion. So today we have Shesh with us, who is a doctoral scholar, and he's also studying generative AI. And we're going to just get to know a lot of, exciting things about artificial intelligence in just a bit from him. He's also an adjunct faculty at Wharton Executive Education, and he's also undergoing his coach training with Coach Arya currently. Cindy and Ram are both members of the executive team at Coach Arya. They are both master certified coaches, and both Ram and Cindy have worked extensively in the coaching space, of course, as many of you would know who are joining us. And Cindy has 20 plus years of experience in the executive coaching and leadership development space, while as the co-founder of Coach Arya and mentor coach at Coach Arya, Ram brings an accomplished 45 years to Coach Arya. He has also authored several books, some of which are also available on the website, and please feel free to reach out to us if you want those books, and we will be happy to, send you the links. So with that, I think I will just pass on the reins of the webinar to Ram and Cindy. Cindy and Ram, please.
Thank you, Yamini. So coaches today, or everybody attending, coaches and non-coaches, today's webinar is an open space where we can discuss and openly talk about how AI can partner with us in coaching. We're not advocating any one side of the coin. It is a discussion on both sides, meaning we'll take into consideration all the benefits of AI in how we're working with ourselves, with our clients, and within the bigger picture of coaching. We'll also talk about some ethical considerations, and hopefully you will leave with some tips on how you can use AI for yourself and your business, and for your clients. You've heard a bit about our special guest today, and I'm going to open the conversation with Shesh on asking that very question. Shesh, in your experience, what are you noticing about how we can partner with AI in coaching?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Cindy, for the welcome there. And as we all say, AI has been there for some time. It's not that it's something new. In the last 12 to 18 months is where we've been hearing AI in several areas. And I chose to do the doctorate also in a similar area because I started seeing AI can help us in several areas, including education, where I'm focusing for my doctorate program, but definitely into coaching as well. When I say it's going to help, we know automation tools, like if you have productivity tools, Gmail, social media, all of those are helping us to do things better, faster, and more efficiently. Where AI can help us is definitely into taking of the more repetitive tasks, where we would have taken a lot more time to, the creating some content, reviewing it, and slicing, dicing it, and making some different versions of it, creating some creatives, all of those things AI can do better because where we heard about this chat GPT, right? It started doing a generative AI, where you can start creating content or creating images, creating audio, is where people start taking notice of it, because hitherto we thought humans will tell what to do and it will just do that part or chat with that or ask some task. Now it starts generating its own content, is where the responsible and ethical AI came to and said, is it humans generating it or machines generating it? And coaching coming into picture, it can definitely be an intelligent assistant or a partner where it can understand your needs as a coach and guide you through certain steps so that you can do your things faster. You can give tasks and it'll be more of a co-pilot. It'll do all the tasks for you and you can review it. So finally, humans or the coach will be deciding what to be done, how to deliver, how to coach. But this can help you as an assistant or a partner.
Thanks, Shesh. And to all our participants, we would love to also hear your inputs throughout the webinar. Please type into the chat box as we go along, the benefits that you are noticing in your practice or with your clients when using artificial intelligence. So collectively, we could get a lot of resources and support from everyone today. Ram, I know you have a huge interest in this topic. I mean, it's beyond an interest. And you are, because you yourself are developing various tools in AI. You want to talk more about the benefits you are noticing?
Yeah, sure, Cindy. There have been some questions asked about is Kocharia for it or against it? And if you're for it, you better be careful. And I would like to start with just now Shesh said it. AI is not new. 10 years ago, or maybe even earlier, the first time I listened to David Peterson, who's not with us anymore, who was the chief coach at Google, in a program sponsored by the Harvard Medical School, where Pranav and I were both present. He came up saying, is coaching dead? And he talked about various things that basically the harbinger of AI at that point in time, which was roughly about 10, 11 years ago. And people were very, very unhappy, a lot of coaches there. And so how dare you say it? How can ever these kind of things can compete with human beings in terms of emotions and all that. Of course, David, those of you who know him, the tremendously satirical, humorous person, he said, "Who do you think you are? And if you think that you are cat's whiskers and you all have to get your emotional intelligence measured, and maybe it's not about emotional intelligence, but how many of you are really coaching from the space of emotional or spiritual intelligence, something like that." And I shared a forum with him later on once in the Silicon Valley in the Bay Area, where again he spoke about that, came in a suit, space suit, dressed up as a funny comedian kind of person. And it was something, it was a little more advanced at that time. And he, one could say that he had to do it because he was part of Google and Google was working on AI. But the point was that he and the other David together, they formed a partnership, and they were very serious coaches. And they set up the culture of coaching in Google. And both of them realized that this artificial intelligence, like Sage said, is as old as technology in some ways or another. And the internet is about 20, 30 years old now. So if you really want to say that, are you for it or against it? I don't think it makes any sense. We are in it. And there's no way that we are going to turn the clock back. And it's be foolish. And like everything else, AI has its pluses and minuses. Just like the human beings, all of us can be evil and good. So, and the AI is another thing which is generated by the human mind. So it can be both be evil and it can be good as well. And it all really requires a certain amount of elevated insight, what we would call in Kocharya as a spiritual intelligence, which sadly is tremendously lacking today. And is that something that is going to help us? And I don't know why this has become the latest shiny object for people to focus their attention on, to be demonizing, when you have in most of, I see here from North America and the Western countries, you don't even have a law prohibiting guns, which is killing millions of people. And we are not doing enough in terms of climate change. And if you are not really hiding under a rock, you know that the cow fart, as they call it, the methane production through animal agriculture, is likely to destroy the earth much faster than petrochemicals. So multiple things are happening out there. And so can AI be a solution to many of these? We don't know. I have no idea. I don't think in my lifespan, which is going to be rather limited, I would know. But the thing is, I'm a learner, and I would like to figure out, yeah, can it be used in what we are doing? And that's what we are going to explore. And I personally, as Cindy said, deeply interested. I've been working on it for the last about 18 months since the time ChatGPT made its presence, and various other modifications now in Gemini and Copilots, and God knows what it is. And Cindy and I and Sage, we have shared, Sage and I are partnering with a fairly reputed academic institutions in India in terms of trying to see if we can develop content, we can do that. For instance, very simple. One of the biggest problems in India is people in the regional languages, they are at a huge handicap, and they really cannot compete with those who are trained in the English language. Now, there is no content available to them in many of the areas that we speak of today, and we are the privileged 0.5% of the total population in a country like India and many other countries. AI can help us at the blink of an eye to be able to translate this in multiple languages, in video and audio and all that in the next 6 months to a year. I see that as a reality. So these are many of the things that we can do potentially, which are going to be tremendously useful. So it's not that we are for it or we are against it. We are here to see how we can ethically, responsibly, with spiritual intelligence, use the power of AI. I'll stop with that, Cindy.
Yeah, absolutely, Ram. Because as you're picking up on spiritual intelligence and wellness, AI cannot, we can't say right now that AI can replace humans. Of course it can't, right? As Shesh also indicated. It's more another partner. So Shesh, what do you think about, or what's your contributions from your own research? I forgot the word that you mentioned, Ram. What was it? Hyper-personalization.
Hyper-personalization.
Yes. Yeah. How can hyper-personalization help us use AI as a partner to individualize coaching?
Yeah, great question. I'm a technologist, like I've seen the evolution when I was like into cloud. Cloud started giving you unlimited compute, or what you call the computing power, storage, and network. So naturally, with the smartphones, mobile first and cloud first is where I developed and started a company, raise funds. So I've seen this evolution where people are embrace this because you can do a lot more with less resources. So now what is happening is two things. One is because this compute or literally democratization has happened, a simple smartphone has access to best of the models, what we call in AI, the language models. To run that, it costs millions of dollars. Believe me, I think if you don't know the numbers, I think $7-8 million per day is what ChatGPT is spending just to run these servers. So it's a huge cost. Nobody can replicate for a long time. Hence, they raised $10 billion initially, so they can keep doing this. So it's again a hype cycle now because everybody's trying to do a lot of things, but hopefully it'll settle down in an equilibrium, saying that what is really important. Enterprise will start saying, okay, what is important for us? Because this is public domain information, they have to be more secretive what they do. All those things will happen. But because access to information at a very, very inexpensive price of just a smartphone is happening, people are getting really excited about it. That's the first thing. Second thing, as I said, research-wise, I was at Amazon and I saw conversation AI, where Alexa, or you have Siri, Google Home, you can start communicating. Prior to this, as what Ram said, 10 years ago, you had to write a program or use a widget or an application or a mobile app to communicate. Now, you can communicate as a natural language. And that's a big branch of AI called a natural language understanding, which you can, I think Ram said, most of the time, at least now, is mostly speaking English. So you can speak in real English terms and it can do things for you. Exactly what we saw when Alexa, or Netflix, or Google Home, any of these things start personalizing is, you speak to it, you ask for a song, you ask for a direction, it started doing this. All this is AI. Google, if you saw Gmail started, what do you call this, auto-completion, you start typing, it gives you sentence suggestions, and it puts an email address for you, it does everything for, it's all AI. So all those were actually happening in the last decade, and people did not notice because they said it's all doing as an assistant. Now it started generating content, generating music, generating video. Is where people said, oh, now I think it's taking over humans now. And because of ChatGPT, communicating was so easy with simple English. And as Ram said, very soon multiple languages, especially Indian languages, are all being supported through a lot of foundational models, what we call this LLMs, or foundational models for each country or application specific. Could be a foundation model for healthcare, for banking, for automation, for industry. Those foundation models are ones which can help you to do very fine-tuned tasks. Like even having an apprentice, right? You have a doctor and has an intern who is working with him or her for like 5 years. The way the doctor does the operation, asks for certain questions, maybe loses temper, becomes anxious, all those things are known to a junior doctor. Similarly, AI assistants are getting there now, which is what is happening with conversational AI like Alexa, Google products. But because this ChatGPT came through a mobile app, people started doing it very fast. And this is where the whole hype in the last 12 months is, where you can literally ask in a simple text and it can generate text for you, slides for you. It can go ahead and do some tasks in automated tasks. And I can talk a little more about the advance, which is happening in the next couple of years. 3 to 5 years, I'm sure it's there are a lot more things. I mean, like not dropping too much of jargons, but definitely something called as ACI is what foundation models are being developed from ex-Googlers, which is where people say it can literally take over a lot of tasks as a human task, not necessarily coaching tasks, any human task which one would be doing. So as I said, summary-wise, technology, compute, and the natural language, which is a combination, which is where humans communicated, both ask and listen, which is making this adoption very fast in all fields, including coaching as well.
That's very interesting what you're saying, Shesh. In so many simple ways, we have artificial intelligence helping us out. And I was thinking about this today. Many of there's a fair amount of coaching competencies where artificial intelligence can show up as a partner. For example, including how we establish agreements with people, right? We can have an agreement to say how we would use AI in our coaching practice in small, simple ways, and even on managing progress, raising that question around what support and resources you need. If our client says they are looking for some AI support, that conversation is quite possible. There's opportunities there. In simple ways, I'll say this differently. In simple ways, even our car these days, when we're traveling, tells us it's time to take a break. Yeah. So it seems all around us. I mean, you see videos of babies going, Alexa, can you play that song? And it is.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to raise this question. I think considering what is going on in the chat and the amount of, information and people sharing how they are using AI, let's have this conversation around what are ethical considerations or risks that we should be concerned about. Participants, if you're typing on the chat, please make sure you are using everyone. I see some of you are typing and only the host can see it. Just click on everyone so everyone can see your comments. Yeah, what do you think, Shesh? What are some ethical considerations? Or Ram, please also dive in. What do you think are ethical considerations?
Yeah, I'll defer to Ram first because he has much higher moral ground, but definitely I can talk from technology perspective.
Look, the whole problem is, like someone is asking here, is this AI? Is Alexa AI? Is something else AI? Yeah, I would say certainly Alexa has certain amounts of AI built into it. Maybe it's not exactly the ChatGPT AI or something else. And somebody was asking about, before going to Cindy's subject, Conmigo, which is pretty good. And we are not here to talk about, explain to you how Conmigo works or something else works. You can go into Gemini or Copilot, and just ask a question. Can you explain to me what Conmigo is about? And it'll tell you chapter, verse, and everything, including hypertext and everything else. And similarly, someone said, yeah, can I build a chatbot? How much will it cost? It'll cost you nothing. You can go and find out there is something called Mind Studio or something which produces apps, and you can go there and then create your own listing for free. And if you want to go deeper into it, of course, you will have to pay for it. At the first level, if you really look at first of all, when you talk about ethics, we make a big deal about ethics in AI. ICF itself is embracing. They are studying it deeply. In fact, there are papers, I'm sure Cindy can send you the links, where they have clearly said that we would like to sort of use AI in coaching as much as we can. And we'll come into the specific areas where we can use. And if you really look at the ICF's code of ethics, as well as the coaching competencies, the first one, which is on ethics, the only area that it can possibly affect is confidentiality. And that confidentiality can be protected the same way that as we are trying to protect today. It cannot be 100% protected. You will have to destroy whatever records that you hold. And in this particular conversation, if we put it on video, it's going to live forever. So all of you have to live with the fact that whatever is disclosed here, whatever you put up here, is going to live for a certain period of time. So if you don't want that to happen, if you want to protect your privacy, don't come for these webinars. It's as simple as that. Or don't share things which you might regret later. So I'm not quite sure what aspect of what we are talking about is here as in terms of ethics. Is it going to pry into somebody's life without their knowing? That everybody is doing today. Your credit card information is available. And if you're living in India, there's something called Aadhaar, where everything is captured. There are many other countries I know where your citizenship cards or identity cards basically track you from birth to death. Many places these are happening. Are they going to happen more? Surely it's going to happen more. How do we prevent it? I have no idea. So we can keep looking at it from an ethical point of view from this respect. Every technology is going to have a flip side. It's going to have a polarity where your personal ethics and everything is going to be challenged by what that particular development is going to provide you. And as again, as I said, going back to the word spiritual intelligence, it's for you to decide how you want to do. We can keep talking about it till the cows come home, but I don't think any of us has answers, including the people who question this. Okay, so if you are very, very specific as to is this happening in this particular case, how do I do it? I can tell you. Today there's that, what is it called, the European model of confidentiality protection, GRPA, or whatever it may be called. And yeah, people are struggling to sort of comply with it in multiple forms. And I'm not sure they are quite there yet. How is it going to benefit everybody? I have no idea. People who want to break it will still do it. So all this is going to happen. Shesh, over to you.
Yeah, no, that was good summary, Ram. I think where everybody is getting worried is if these powerful AI models or systems get in the wrong hands. See, we all trust Google, so we use Gmail happily. Me and Cindy were chatting today. Gmail, every word you type is actually scanned, but not by any humans, but by systems at scale. When I was a product head for a company which was looking into banking sector, we had millions of customers across the globe, and we knew every single moment they would spend on the mobile website or on the app of the customer's page, which is login page, which was perfectly fine for us to say we can do something better for them and offer better products. So we could do what I think we heard about this word called hyper-personalization. We could do at very large scale, and it was perfectly ethical because we're not crossing the line anywhere, because it's for our customers, we're doing something better. Where people get worried about is a human agency, where if we do not have control and somebody else has control, is it the end of the world? Is where people are getting worried, but I don't think so. At least next 3 to 5 years, there's nothing happening at that scale. And as Ram also hinted, several regulations have already been put in place because we realize this is something like atom bomb kind of thing, which is like it can go out of proportion if we do not regulate, because we don't know what are the things it can be capable of. So regulations definitely come into picture. And ethically, I think yes, because we don't know the capability yet, we need to put the guardrails sooner so that we can slowly train it. And at the end of the day, all these are trained models. Sam Altman, who's a CEO of OpenAI, says it's an infinite database. Like OpenAI or whatever we're doing now, they're all saying it's infinite database. It can access enough information, but they're being told to model to not respond, like say how to prepare a bomb. It will not respond to you. So those systems one need to put in place. Definitely, we have a lot of control, and whatever we develop apps or applications or we do any kind of recording, if these guardrails are put in place ahead of time, I do not say any crossing the lines will happen. And as Ram said, any system will have its pros and cons. So we have to be aware of it and embrace it rather than just denying it. So there's no point in saying we'll never embrace it. I'm writing an article with artists who are producing movies and musics. They initially denied, and then they start now realizing it can augment what they want to do and much more better than what they were doing before. See, Adobe tools always help movie makers to do several things. Now it becomes democratized and just easily available through apps. People got worried. So because of cost structure, people are saying it's getting democratized, but otherwise these systems and tools existed. So there is no crossing the lines on ethics or responsible AI anywhere if we have these guardrails in place.
Cindy, there are some specific questions on applications to coaching. If you can move in there, maybe we can start talking about that.
Yeah, and Ram, this one from, I think it's Silvana. You want to take that question that just came in now?
Yeah, right. Look, I'm not a software person. I have absolutely very little background except as an investor and collaborator in certain technology spaces. I've been fooling around with, that's the best word to do that. I'm very interested, curious, and therefore I've been playing with this for the last about 18 months, first to ChatGPT 2 and then through Gemini and now Copilot and various other kinds of things. You asked about where are the applications. Before, I mean, coaching broadly, I would like to look at it as coaching and coach training. Before I come into coaching, which is a little more of a sensitive space for many of us, the coach training can immensely benefit in pretty much every single aspect of it. I mean, Cindy knows that Shesh and I have been trying to work on this in terms of developing content. I started at a point in time several months ago, just by putting the IC of competencies on the ChatGPT at that point in time and said, look, can you give me a coaching conversation which sort of fulfills these various parameters of the PCC markers or coaching competency or whatever. With a few prompts, I mean, I had to take it 2 or 3 steps with a few prompts in terms of, can you refine this more? Can you move into this? Can you produce some, can you put in some metaphors into it for me and whatever it is? Believe you me, gave me a conversation which would have passed PCC. The way I'm an MCC assessor, I was a PCC assessor before, and I'm speaking from actual kind of quality of submissions that we get. I've probably done over 800, maybe close to 1,000 assessments over the last several years, and it would have certainly passed PCC. So that made me more curious, and so I've been working at it in various ways. And today, if you are a content developer, for us in Kocharya, for instance, as a training institution, the bloodstream is really in terms of being on top of the taxonomy, Bloom's taxonomy, whatever taxonomy that you want to use, and with the IC of competencies on one side as the guiding elements. And we have 3 platforms: self-coaching, spiritual approach, and systemic approach. These are the 3. So putting these together, how can I develop content? So I would start with something as simple as saying, hey, these are the competencies. And based on this, my audience that I'm looking at, it could be, for instance, currently, Shesh and I are working for a Kocharya Foundation. We are trying to do some pro bono work for underserved youth. And so for youth between the ages of, let's say, 15 to 19, high schoolers, with the objective of making them more responsible, more accountable, taking ownership of what they are doing, etc., ethically responsible, spiritually intelligent, and so on and so forth. Give a few things, and can you give me? So it'll give me about, based on the coaching competencies, maybe not the 8, but the 6 competencies from agreement till about learning and growth. What are those? And then I would break that up and take each one at a time. So can you expand on that? Can you give me more details? And today there is something called Google Plus on Google Drive, which can actually convert it into slides. And while ChatGPT, as one of our ministers in India said it famously, it's highly unreliable. It is unreliable. So sometimes it'll give you images. Sometimes it'll say, I'm only a developmental agency, so I can't do this thing. I said, you just now did 5 minutes ago. Oh, I apologize. But now, I don't know, maybe I'm having a backache or a stomachache or a headache, and so I can't do it, or whatever the reason is. So I use Copilot more often, and Copilot is far more reliable in terms of producing images. So essentially, to simplify this in a way, any of you, believe you me, today, of course, with a little bit of knowledge of English, you don't have to have tremendous knowledge, but competency model, what your ideas are, and if you input them, you can develop them into an outline, then develop them into kind of an ebook kind of a stuff to support that. You can develop into a conversation, you can develop it into presentation with images and so on and so forth. And within that, you can say, hey, it's going to be a 2-hour or 3-hour session on this particular subject. So I would like it to be broken up into 10 such points, which starts with sharing, which has some amount of concept discussions and questions and answers. I would like to introduce a game. I would like to introduce a story. I would like to build in metaphors. Everything that you can think of, and it'll be able to do you and save you time. And ultimately, you are in control. You need to guide the tool. Maybe later it might be able to do it in a personalized way. And like we talked about hyper-personalization. So I can specifically say, hey, develop this content for me. But now I would like this content to be applied to a particular segment, which is very small. I would like it to be applied to, let's say, an 18-year-old who is finishing high school, moving into probably college or university, and challenges are slightly different. It's in terms of what stream that I select and what will have, etc., etc. Can you personalize it for that kind of a stuff? Believe you me, AI can do it today. And it's going to be able to do it far, far better in another 6 months' time, where you could have it audio and video. And ultimately, those of you in India will probably resonate with me on this. There's an amazing movie called The 12th Fail, which is based on an actual real-life story of a young man in rural India who was English challenged, who wanted to be an IPS Indian police officer, and he eventually became one. And it's a tremendously inspiring story. So one of the things that we are wanting to do, God willing, is can we produce something in regional languages, which are asynchronous, which are self-learning based, and make it available free, make it available for the underserved, and similarly create other programs. So this is what Cindy, myself, Shesh, Pranav, all Ujjwal, we are all working towards, and in longer term. So I think it's just endless, like Shesh threw out this word, Sam Altman's word about the infinite resource. It's infinite capabilities in terms of what it can do. But when it comes to one-on-one coaching, I guess many of you are not going to like what I'm going to say now. My own experience of interacting with coaches, many of them who've passed through our portals, who are MCCs now, 90% of the time, their coaching is cognitive. It's transactional. It's pretty much if you take the ICF-PCC markers, okay, and the client wants to say something, okay, what is it that we would like to achieve by the end of this? What is the importance of that or meaning of that? What are the measures of success? And what are going to be the challenges? And blah, blah, blah. And then pretty much you are really what Cindy and I call coaching the markers. And it's not coaching the individuals. And believe you me, we know from our experience, and every one of you out there will feel, no, it's not me. I never do that. I'm a far superior coach. I'm sure you are. But what we see 80% of the time is it's that kind of a transactional coaching. And that is going to be dead, because that is what David Peter says there. AI can replace it without any problems whatsoever. It can produce you a script, it can produce everything which it'll be able to. Where it's going to be difficult for AI to catch up is where that, in spite of its capability for hyper-personalization, the actual interaction of the person to be able to understand exactly what they are. Especially, I would say, we look at it in 3 levels. The first is the cognitive intelligence level, second, the emotional intelligence level. Far more powerful is what I would call the spiritual or sensory intelligence level. So can you ask somebody, yeah, if you're suffering from this, you're having a problem, maybe you have grief, you anger, whatever. How are you feeling in your body at this point in time? It's a somatic sensory kind of exploration. It's going to take a long time before AI catches up with that. And it may not even be possible. So those kind of things where you're really talking about the energy-based, and this I'm able to talk about, and we teach pretty much all people who are in our cohorts these methods of approach, because my background is in training with meditation, chakra energization, and so on. So these are kind of things come up there. So very broadly, I'm saying this: coaching as practiced by 80%, and I'm sure not one of the 100-odd people here belong to that category, you're all super coaches, is transactional. And that is going to be dead, believe you me, buried 6 feet deep, as it ought to be. And the remaining 20%, if you all graduate into that and we start working from that space, and it doesn't mean that you have to be an MCC qualified coach. Cindy and I have seen that within the first 20 hours today, we can teach them the fundamentals. Within the first 60 hours, we can train them to coach in a way that they are exploring emotions and senses and so on. So it's possible at the ACC level. So that is one. And again, going back to training, it's not only the content, but the assessment can be done by AI. In fact, there are very, very good tools. Many of you may know it. Ray tools, I think, Ray assessment or whatever, it was Cindy and I. We tried it out. Excellent. I'm sure it has developed far better. It can do an extremely good job. And of course, there's a human refinement which will be required. So as long as you yourself have the capability That means you come from a space where you have a knowledge bank out there, which is higher than that of the AI. Then you would be able to use AI as an enabler and be able to make it help you. But if you're not, if you're just going to do a copy-paste medium, at some point in time, one will be caught out. Like many students are getting. Okay, I'll stop here.
Yeah, absolutely, Ram. I mean, it's delightful to know that on a deeper level, on a spiritual level, or when talking about purpose, values, beliefs, something deep inside, human beings hold far more superiority in the way they partner with the clients and the way they partner with self. Yeah, even if you're doing self-coaching, if you're reflecting on it and thinking about it, the AI tools will help you on certain things, like as you said right now, cognitive spaces. But the depth of coaching comes from a far more human-orientated space in how we connect with clients. And that, we can all rest assured, AI tools right now cannot mimic that in any way. Yeah. Shesh, what do you think?
It's a great point both of you made. I'm also, like, as I said, teacher or a faculty, where we keep telling our students, like critical thinking, if you do not develop, you can have all tools with you when you're developing or doing assignments. But in the real world, when you are your feet on the ground and you have to take decisions, how much you train yourself matters a lot. So if you just get an MBA or a certification with leadership and you know all the tools, it'll help you to get the assignment done and grades done. But in real world, you may not be able to do it. So usually use this time when you're going through a program or even the coaching or coach training to develop the critical thinking, because as humans, we are far superior, can do a lot more. And we want cut shortcuts, right? Like we think we'll get it done and finish off, but the real world will question a lot of things. When a dynamism happens, we cannot think on our own, is we realize none of these tools will help us actually. Ram brought about how emotional or spiritual intelligence part. For those things, the energy exchange, or I think we talk about in coaching as a chemistry and coaching process, those energy exchange will never happen with the AI tool. I think OpenAI started off talking about something called the AGI, artificial general intelligence, which will be as closer to humans, so it can do tasks at scale and in economical way. But nowhere, nobody has said we'll try to mimic the consciousness or the, like the actual human value. Nobody has tried to do that. So we're trying to mimic the human brain, how it is doing, how we can do faster, efficient, but definitely help in the humans in what they do. So I don't think so, at least the next 5 years, we don't see any tools or anybody even developing such things. But I think I was talking about Inflection AI's startup, which is a Google DeepMind's co-founder, Mustafa Sulaiman. He's talking about something called as ACI, which is augmented collective intelligence, which is humans plus AI, is what we all have to embrace. And that will be far superior than what we have today. So those models, what they're trying to develop, will understand human value, will understand the machine models, and try to do something together. I think that's where the world is going. And I think we should adopt that fast, because what I keep saying is one may not lose a job to AI, but to lose a job to somebody who knows how to use AI, right? So we should think faster and embrace it and become part of it. As Ram said, to whatever level we want, self-coaching, training, content creation, whatever we want, we can do it. Hopefully, it will help us to do things better than what we are doing now. And if we do not, somebody else who knows it can do better than us.
Yeah, I just, Cindy, if you permit me, just want to add to this. Some
Yeah,
people
go ahead.
in the business space, will they accept it and so on? Now, it just thought of connecting to what Shesh was saying. In the corporate space, one of the areas that I have worked on for a long time is people who want to become general managers from being functional managers. I mean, they might be called SVP financial, but they are still not general managers in the sense that they have moved out of their functions. So one of the first starting point discussions that we have is what are they really looking for? As long as you are looking to prove that you are the best financial manager, best marketing manager, best IT manager, best whatever manager, then you're going to be still caught in that functional trap. It's only when you start realizing that if I want to be the CEO of a company, then in that case, I may not necessarily be best on everything that I do, but I need to find the best people who I would be able to influence and inspire. And that is exactly true of AI as well. You don't have to be a master of anything in AI, but you just have to be able to use AI. And this is where someone was asking, are companies today willing to adopt to something more than transactional? The answer is a resounding yes. If you don't think so, I think probably, and maybe I'm living in a different space. Because for the last 5 years, we have been having tremendous success, especially post-COVID, in terms of an approach of systemic coaching, which we equate to spiritual coaching in the sense that it's about how we impact other people and how others impact you, and which is really what spirituality is all about. We are not talking about any higher self and lower self or anything of that sort. Let's start with that basic spiritual intelligence, which is about we're all energy. Maybe there is a higher self, maybe there isn't. I don't want to get into that discussion, though I write a blog called Coaching the Spirit. You might want to go there and look at it. But essentially, it's about if we are living, are we living collaboratively? In addition to my own benefits, am I also looking at other people's benefit? If you start your basic agreement in coaching, not just to say, what is it that you want as a coach asking, can you start asking, what is it that you want based on how you will impact other people, how other people will impact you? And that becomes the basis for pretty much all systemic team coaching, which we teach. We are one of the pioneers in working in that space, which is why we have a number of people who have been trained in ACTC and stuff like that. So when you talk about spirituality, yes, it is about the higher self, but you don't have to necessarily believe that there is a higher self. As long as you believe that I want to be a decent human being, which means that I need to be collaborative. I need to work collaboratively with other people, cooperate, co-create, etc. And I'm looking for their interests as well as I'm doing myself. And if you have that much of intelligence in terms of spiritual intelligence, yes, we can use AI better, and we can also apply it to coaching better. And certainly today, many companies, at least we are working with more than a dozen companies today in India, and we are in the process of working with larger companies abroad, using this approach, which we are not ashamed of, talking about spirituality. Many people are very ashamed of using the word spirituality. Will I be considered? Are you able to do that? I think more and more corporations than you think are capable are really looking at it much more seriously.
And this idea of holistic growth or holistic wellness, more and more people are looking for that. Especially post-COVID, there's like an awakening to what is my own holistic growth path and how I can be more inclusive with all elements of self. So within that framing, holistic growth would include AI or artificial intelligence pieces, meaning if something can help you narrow down and do administrative tasks or small pieces, then you're left with more time to focus on things that are meaningful for you. What do you think, Shesh?
Yeah, it's a great point. You know, as I said, I've been talking to a couple of artists who said they get their energy or what they call kicks by creating something, and now they don't want to offload it to any tool. But now they start realizing it. There are a lot of repetitive tasks, which is grunt work they did not enjoy before. Now they're letting this AI system do that, and then creative thinking, more out of box, out of world kind of thing, which they have a lot of free spaces so much that they can come with very innovative ideas. So now they said, okay, there's an equilibrium they figured out. I don't want to completely oppose it. At the same time, just take whatever it is, because they live. Literally, some of them have made, and I think Hollywood had this protest guild, like saying that all these things are taking away their jobs. Now they started saying that, yes, it's going to do what we have been doing for quite some time, maybe charging a lot of money for the script, what all this can do. But humans can do so much more. So if I can free up the repetitive tasks, the simple tasks to the systems, I can do a lot more, which we'll know our capability only when we have free time. We keep cribbing, right? We don't have time to do things. This system, as you clearly said, administrative tasks, repetitive tasks, assistant tasks can be given to AI, and it can do repeatedly exactly same way, more predictive way. So we don't have those ups and downs and emotions kicking in and productivity low. It will let you do what you want to do, and you can focus on what you want to do. So I think, as I said, my part of research also with the performing arts, where AI can help. I am trying to go head on saying that wherever AI is being opposed, there's a subtle way to embrace it. And I've been interacting with like musicians, artists, and movie makers, teachers. Everybody is now trying to say, yes, I think we need to come with some common ground. Then it will make life for everybody much better. And same with coaches too, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely, Sesh. From what I know in all my years of coaching, most coaches don't like administrative tasks. They love the people orientated, the connection to people, engaging with people. Those are the services they more enjoy. Yeah. So we can see a lot of benefits here. Coaches, we don't know the answers on the how-to part. You can figure out that for yourself. How you are going to use AI to help you with your administrative tasks or to simplify things for yourself. And of course, how you would create contracts, establish agreements with clients, with self, with stakeholders, and how to manage that. Sesh, before I'm mindful of time, and I want to ask you this question. Where to next? What can we expect looking into the future from AI?
Now, AI will go, now it is learning, because see, I'll tell you one more thing. OpenAI has been trained. So the training has got some biases. Me and Ram keep talking about it, right? There's a lot of biases in the way it is now doing. So hopefully it will break those stereotypes and get more and more closer to what we are. So maybe we have an AI model just for the way we are in a group of people. Only for coaches, there might be AI models. So all those will become more and more personalized to what we want to see, which will definitely happen. So it is a matter of time. The training is improving. We need to do trial and errors. And there's huge money being invested. So definitely a lot of innovation is going to come in. But AI is going to definitely help the healthcare, which is a huge thing. Just the way we have coaches between, one, two individuals talking, the same way we need the doctors talking to the patients, not losing time with other administrative tasks or writing down prescription part of it, so they can completely focus on the patient. So AI is helping in all of those things, where there's a human-to-human conversation or human-to-couple of humans conversation, which I think will happen. And me and Ram have also been talking about various video technologies which can really give a feedback, which is not possible now. Humans can, even if this Zoom call, I can only look at 6 faces and cannot make all my judgments. Now, let's say if I have an assistant which can do a lot of analysis, and then I can talk. I don't have to worry about what happened, how people reacted, and then go back and say, who did what? The system will tell you what it is. Then I can improve myself. So it can be a mirror for us, and use the system to guide us, make us much better self as us. So all these technologies can be AI, computer vision, video analytics, you name it, data science, big data, all of those things are helping us to do better actually. So I'm big gungo about all these technologies, provided you use it in a very moderated manner and then scale up as required.
And Sesh, one more question. Just sorry, Ram. Explain what hyper-personalization means.
Hyper-personalization is, personalization, if I can talk to 10 people here, I can only do what I can do for my audience. I have done like webinars with about 300 audience where I can almost understand what's going on. Once I had about 3,000 people. I had no idea what they were doing, what they were asking for. So I had a moderator in between. Now, what is hyper-personalization? If you're talking about millions of people listening to what you're doing, you cannot, as an individual, cannot do it. AI system can personalize individually, like hyper-local, hyper-personalization. So at least this scale can go infinite, literally millions of people. You can get what you want. The way we talked about today, right? I think Gmail, it's not system where somebody human is looking at your email. Because it's hyper-personalized, it can do what your email is. My email, Gmail is completely personalized to me than what your Gmail is, because it knows how you respond, how you close the comments, how you highlight something. It's hyper-personalized to individual level, which can happen because of scalability of systems. And at that level of one-on-one level of personalization is what is we use as called hyper-personalization.
Thank you. Ram, you were going to say?
Yeah, I mean, at the simplest level, before I go on to what I want to talk about, is the hyper-personalization is like what Shesh was saying, that if I develop a generic program, and if there are people with specific needs, and based on their specific definition of what they want, AI can actually pick out, summarize, and give it to you that way. Even today, for example, if you, not many people know that this capability exists. You can take a TED Talk, for instance, or anything else, even for an hour's talk, and you say, can you give me the summary of this? My interests are these. Can you give me summarized in this particular fashion as I would need it? And AI would be able to do that. So that's really what hyper-personalization is. And some of you perhaps were probably at the webinar that I had with Varun Soni, who is with USC, University of Southern California. He's a dean of religious life. And one of the things that he said was a very large number of the Gen Z students in this population of about 60,000 students today have serious problems of mental unwellness. Many of them have suicidal tendencies. And as we spoke about it more, the whole thing came out of the fact that they don't have faith anymore in any of our current human systems. In the Western society, the so-called weird society, the broken families are the norm. And you have no belief in religion. You have no belief in governance. You have no belief in institutions. No wonder these young people today are saying, I don't believe any of you anymore. And they turn to social media where they are willing to believe someone who they have never met. And as a result, they get validated, invalidated, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, these are issues where to create that faith, do you, as a coach or a mentor or a teacher, do you exemplify that faith? We need to look at ourselves. What kind of a life do I lead? Is that going to help create that faith in someone else? Otherwise, there's no point in talking about, oh, it's not happening. And believe you me, humans, I hope, do not become the masters. They have been masters long enough to destroy the earth.
Shesh, somebody on the chat is asking you to share something. Can you do that, please?
Which was that? Because I have a lot of questions here.
Yeah.
No, somebody said Peter Kerwin, something about specifically interested in AI voice clone approaches.
Voice AI, yeah. Voice AI, right? Peter's, I saw the comment.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody asked about, would you mind sharing the stats around the daily cost to run ChatGPT again?
No, not
okay.
that. This is about...
No, I saw one more comment about voice. Yes, I'm on the board of a company which is looking into voice AI. So voice AI is another, as I said, about whole of this conversation is all started about talking to systems, and voice AI is the next big thing because humans inherently are never, the whole brain has never been trained to write or read. It can speak and listen and process it, right? Like, so voice is the next paradigm which is going to happen. It was not happening easily before because it needed the models, the compute, the kind of systems which is more accessible. So voice is, I think I saw Peter's comment about voice AI or assistants, which is where things are happening. And maybe next 1 to 2 years, you will see voice bots, which can be assistant for you for a lot of things and also help you to do communication part. In terms of stats, as I said, we can always Google and find out from OpenAI's or Microsoft website. The data centers are huge, expensive affair to maintain them because the amount of servers, storage needed to compute this is huge. And if you know, when ChatGPT was launched in November 2023, it had trained data up to 2021 December. So to retrain that, it needs huge amount of servers again. So hence ChatGPT is much more faster because it's already been trained. And what we have some technology called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generative AI, where you can go to real-time data, just a Google search and get it. For all these things, you need huge servers, compute, networking, and etc. Those stats are where I'm saying The last I read was, I think, $7 million per day to run these data servers. And to cool these machines, they need a humongous amount of water to be cooled. So anywhere you can talk about all these things and say people are going out of control. But yes, when we need all these sophisticated things, there is a price we pay. So we need to be cognizant of those things, saying just that we need all these cool things for free. But yes, there's a cost associated with this. And more we're talking about chips, the semiconductor chips. That's a big area which is going to happen too. That's also going to be expensive. So when all that becomes more reasonably priced is when we're going to get products and apps at reasonably priced. Otherwise, it will get expensive moment the funding stops.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered the stats part. I think, I don't know.
Yeah.
Last question is asked by Peter. Are there examples of coaches using AI today for a specific problem? I think many people are using it today. We ourselves are using it in content development. We are using it for trying to help with assessment. There are platforms today available, Raynotes, for example, for assessment. There are literally dozens and dozens of people who are doing this work. So
Yeah.
you have to search and find out what is being done in that field. Yeah.
On that link that Yamini put from ICF, you will see a research done with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and they mention on that research that 1 in 3 coaches are already using AI to complement, supplement their coaching business for themselves and their clients. And to run up today's webinar, I do want to encourage that go ahead and find ways in which you can manage safely, securely how AI can help you in your coaching for yourself and your clients. You can hear from Ram and from us that we are trying many different pieces in the background and how we can use AI. We'll catch up with you in a few months and share our findings with you, where we can give you some proper data on what we tried and how successful it was. Ram, anything you want to say to round up?
Just to Marisa, because she asked about where do I learn about spiritual intelligence. I don't know where to learn about spiritual intelligence, but every month on the was it the second Wednesday, Cindy? We're going to have that spiritual intelligence webinar. So please do join us, and we would like to learn from you as well, so we can present from different viewpoints of what we think is spiritual intelligence, and probably expand upon it.
Yeah, and just to let you know, everything Ram spoke about with AI were free tools. He's not using any paid tools.
Yep. I hate spending money on
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's all free tools. It's just been experimenting a lot. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's been a pleasure being with you. If we didn't answer any of your questions, don't worry. We'll make a note of it and Ram will write a blog on it. Or he'll include it in his blogs.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Sylvester. Thank you, Yamini. Bye. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.